To me, Global Reach Out is inspiring.
It's connecting with God, reaching out to the world, and impacting life.
The stories that shared is so personal and it deeply impacted me.
Global Reach Out to me is reach out to the truth.
Connecting hearts, connecting lives. You're listening to Global Reach Out.
Good morning. My name is Bobby Lee. I am the Executive Director of the Singapore Baptist Convention and Special Advisor to BICC. In this podcast, I shall be speaking on a very significant and relevant topic on biblical leadership that is also connected to church growth. I have entitled this leadership series as Lead the Way. In surveying the leadership landscape, 4 critical observations can be discerned. 1. The explosion of books on effective leadership. Effective leadership matters in the past, the present, and of course the future. Why? Because everything rises and falls on effective leadership. With effective leadership, a country, an organization, or an institution can reach their full potentials and be successful in what they envision to do. There is a saying from an Arabic proverb. It goes like this: an army of sheep led by a lion would defeat an army of lions led by a sheep. Conversely, ineffective leadership hinders success, stifles growth, and the development of any country, institution, or organizations. 2. There is a growing shift from hierarchical, heroic, transactional, authoritative, and power. These models of leadership have given rise to post-hierarchical, post-heroic, post-transformational, influence, authentic models. In these new models, leaders no longer have the answers, but they create a climate where followers are empowered, collaborative, and freed to pursue shared goals in their own way. Today's leadership sees bosses not lording over employees, but as partners and empowered employees. The bosses lead not so much from positional power, but personal power. 3. The call for servant leadership is growing louder in the political, business, educational, societal, and religious arenas. Servant leadership has become the most viable form of leadership in every sector of society today. 4. The classical concept that leaders are born and not made have been slowly giving way to leaders are made and not born. Everyone has leadership potentials. They need to be cultivated. Positions, titles, academic credentials, these things do not determine effective leadership. What do Winston Churchill, Ronald Reagan, Margaret Thatcher, Aung San Suu Kyi, Alexander the Great, Napoleon Bonaparte, Joan of Arc, Genghis Khan, John Calvin, Martin Luther, John Wesley, and others like Martin Luther King Jr., Confucius, Booker T. Washington, William Wilberforce, Nelson Mandela, Marco Polo, Christopher Columbus, John Rockefeller, Andrew Carnegie, Bill Gates, Warren Buffett, Steve Jobs, Lee Kuan Yew, Jane So, Lillian Lim, Alive Heng have in common. Though these people come from different walks of life, some are politicians, some are military commanders, reformers, liberators, revolutionaries, religious leaders, explorers, industrialists, entrepreneurs. all these names that we have mentioned are effective leaders. What is leadership? A simple question to ask, yet difficult to answer, isn't it? The search for leadership models is as old as the beginning of the human race. The reason is simple. The success of a community, nation, organization, and the industry, it depends on effective leadership. Admittedly, there are many books on leadership, as there are many models of leadership to choose from. Some are theoretical, others are practical. Two questions that inevitably surface in books about leadership are whether leaders are born or made, that is the idea of nature versus nurture, and secondly, what models to adopt to be successful and effective in the 21st century. Have you heard of the names of two kings in the ancient Near East? Shaltruch Nahant, 1185 to 1155 BC, the first name, and Ozymandias, also known as Ramesses II, an Egyptian pharaoh who reigned from 1279 to 1312 BC. For Shaltruch Nahant, you most probably heard of him from the movie The Emperor's Club, which premiered in 2002. In the opening scene, you have the dedicated teacher, Mr. William Hundred, who majored in English Class 6, trying to teach moral lessons to the students at St. Benedict School, an exclusive private school for boys. There is a plaque above the entrance to the class that reads like this: I am Shaltruch Nahant, king of Ashan and Susa, sovereign of the land of Elam. I destroyed Sippar, took the steel of Naram Sin, and brought it back to Elam, where I erected as an offering to my God. Sign off, Shaltruch Nahant, 1158 BC. The teacher, Mr. Hundred, made an insightful comment. He says, this is a quote from a virtually unknown king who speaks of his list of conquests, but speaks nothing about the benefits of his conquest. This king is unknown in history because great ambition and conquest without contribution is without significance. The other name, Ozymandias, we have a famous poem, a sonnet written by Percy Shelley, AD 1792 to 1822, about an Egyptian pharaoh who, in spite of all his achievements, is remembered today for the pedestal on an empty plain. The poem goes like this. I met a traveller from an antique land who said, two vast and trunkless lakes of stone stand in the desert. Near them, on the sand, half sunk, a shattered visage lies, whose frown and wrinkled lip and sneer of cold command tell that its sculptor well those passions read, which yet survive, stamped on these lifeless things. The hand that mocked them and the heart that fed them, and on this pedestal these words appear. My name is Ozymandias, King of Kings. Look upon my works, ye mighty, and despair. Nothing beside remains. Round the decay of that colossal wreck, boundless and bare, the lone and level sands stretch away. Two very big names. On the other hand, it has been said that the man who never wrote a line has been made the hero to unnumbered volumes. He who never wrote a song has put music into the hearts of nameless multitudes. The same person who never established an institution is the foundation of the church that bears his name. He who refused the kingdoms of this world has become the Lord of millions of people. His shameful death, which scarcely produced a ripple on the pool of history in his day, has become a mighty current in the vast ocean of the centuries since he died. His name, Jesus of Nazareth. The two kings I mentioned, Shaltruch Nahant and Ozymandias, were revered in the ancient Near East for their proud achievements and their exploits. Yet, today, you don't hear about their influence and the impact of their names anymore. On the other hand, the son of a carpenter, whose name has become the name above all names, is revered and remembered. Why is this so? Part of the reason has to do with leadership styles. For the two ancient kings, theirs was an autocratic leadership. They led others by intimidating them, influenced others by dominating them, and motivated others by manipulating them. Jesus Christ, on the other hand, practiced servant leadership, self-emptying and self-giving. He led others by serving them, influenced others by inspiring them, and motivated others by modeling his life. This podcast is all about biblical leadership. What does it mean to be a leader? And how does one become an authentic servant leader patterned after Jesus Christ? Leadership assumptions. There are 13 leadership assumptions, which I want to read to you. First, unique challenges require unique solutions. These are one of the assumptions. Next, we cannot continue to do the same thing and expect different results. It follows then that we can't turn things around without doing something different. We can't change what has happened, but we can all change what happens next. To make a difference, we must be different rather than being indifferent. The list goes on. Leadership is all about transformation. To inspire, to influence, to lead, rather than transaction. To inform, instruct, manage. We will not get the desired results if we operate the same way as it did before. Hence, bold ways for new days ahead. We can't go where we want to go if we do not know where we have been. Activity is not to be equated with accomplishments, and momentum not to be mistaken for motion. Between being program-centered and people-centered, the latter, people-centered, must take priority. 2 more to go. Courage to lead also means courage to confess mistakes. And finally, the leadership assumption, leading by serving and showing, epitomize biblical leadership. I leave us with 3 discussion questions for us to think about. Number 1, when you think of leadership, what comes to mind? Number 2, how would you define leadership? And the third question for us to think about is, why is leadership so important in today's world? Thank you.
The program is proudly presented by Global Reach Out. We welcome you to share our live enriching webcasts with family and friends through our website, global-reachout.org. Let's reach out to bless more lives together.